Hey, what's up everyone, my name is Instinct, and since our 2019 plate carrier setup video did so well and changes always happen, we decided to make a new video covering both me and my brother's plate carrier setup for 2020. But before we dive into our new setups, make sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell button, share our videos, and have a look for our awesome monthly quality giveaways at ReekandBrothers.com. If you're interested in plate carriers like these and much more, go have a look at our shop, shop.reekandbrothers.com. Also, both full setups we show you today can be found on our webshop with a nice discount as well. So as said, these are both my brother and mine custom plate carrier setups, which we use for our airsoft events, military simulations and our tactical trainings with former SF instructor Delta. Now these plate carrier setups work well for us, but that doesn't mean they do for you. So as for today, in this video, we'll share our thinking process with you. First of all, note that we rather pay for quality gear than up to 60% for repro garbage, and we recommend you to do the same, but this doesn't mean you need the high-end Gucci gear. Furthermore, if you're looking for a guidance video about fitting your plate carrier, setting it up and testing your setup, go have a look at the link in the description down below. So let's get started. To start off with, there are always a few rules we follow, of which the first one is efficiency of movement, easy accessibility and minimum stuff. So what do we mean with easy access? Well, first of all, don't make it clumsy. Second of all, have a look at the pouches you use most and place them in a maximum of 180 degrees. The other space is mostly used for pouches for your teammates. And thirdly, carefully consider the placement of pouches you need access to in stressful situations. Next up, what do we mean with efficiency of movement? Well, with this we mean that the carrier setup should obstruct you as less as possible when doing physical movements, like for example, crouching, laying down, sprinting and traversing certain obstacles. As for minimal stuff, we mean carry only what you really need. There is no need for extra stuff that will only make you heavier and bulkier. As for our second rule, which is the conjunction of your plate carrier with your belt setup, make sure they don't interfere with one another. As for our belt setup of 2020, we have a video incoming as well. Another rule that has become a necessity is the use of plates, even if it's just training plates. This because of their profile, rigidity and weight for training purposes. We ourselves use the training plates from Travail Fitness. The next rule we follow is the amount of magazines you carry with you. We ourselves use 6 GBBR magazines, of which 4 on the carrier, 1 on the belt for an emergency reload and 1 in the gun itself. This gives us a total of 210 rounds. Another rule we've added to this list is the use of quick release buckles. These are being used more and more often because they are easier in use and silent compared to Velcro. And at last, a few things we don't do, which is 1. We don't use a holster or admin pouch on our front plate because it will limit the use of our front plate. And second of all, we don't use a utility pouch below our front plate as it will obstruct our movement capabilities. And if you don't believe us, go do some burpees and see for yourself. So this being covered, let's jump over to our personal plate carriers. So as for my plate carrier setup, I used to use the Tasmanian Tiger MK3 in the extra large version, which was unfortunately too big for me and disturbed me in my movements. As for that reason, in the end of 2019 I changed it to the Tasmanian Tiger QRLC. So if you're a regular sized person, don't go for plate carriers with additional molly space as it will only obstruct you. Now if you want an in-depth review of this plate carrier, the Tasmanian Tiger QRLC, go have a look at the link in the description down below. Now let's get into the details of my plate carrier setup and let's start with the front panel. We aim to have our front plate as slim as possible in order to have the ability to go prone. As for this reason, I use 3 Fastmac pouches, which used to be the Tasmanian Tiger Bell M4 pouches with retention cords. Now I modded these to become Fastmac pouches, but now I use the new designated Fastmac pouches from Tasmanian Tiger called the MCLP pouches, because these have an overall better design and grip. When it comes to the facing of the magazines, last year I was convinced that they should be facing to the left, but after doing some tactical reloads and discussing it with my brother, I had to agree with him they should be faced to the right if you're a right side dominant shooter. Since we don't use a dump pouch, we had to come up with a small technique so we could easily see which magazines are full and which ones are empty in a split second. For this, we just turn the magazines in the opposite direction when putting them back into the pouch. On the top left of my front plate, I use the FL 5035 PTT for Kenwood Beofang radios from Peltor. It is secured with its clip and additionally secured with 2 rubber bands. The placement allows me to use my gun with my dominant hand while still remaining in contact with my team using my left hand. The cable running from my PTT goes straight into my Kenwood TK3401 digital radio. It is placed in an inside pouch which allows me to easily access the radio. On the other side of the carrier I have removed this pouch since I recently noticed that it was possible. And at last, on the top right side of my plate carrier I have placed a drinking tube to keep me hydrated. On my left cummerbund I placed the TT Tac Pouch 1, which is positioned here because it's my non-dominant side and thus the least used side, and preferably also the most bulky side. Here I store my personal stuff, batteries and SD cards. We consider the back panel to be used for hydrating yourself and storing items for your teammates. Now looking at TT's assortment, we think the TT Tac Pouch 11 is the most fit for the job. Now since I used to use a bottle inside which made it too bulky for example entering doorways or even sitting in a car, I decided to get a smaller drinking system, but since I don't have that yet, I use the TT bladder pouch for now. At last, on my right cummerbund I have the Ford Fastmac pouch, which is a TT MCL pouch. Important to notice here is that the magazine is facing forward for if I'm shooting the gun with my left hand and need to make a reload. Also important is that this pouch is a low profile pouch which allows me for a good buttstock manipulation under the armpit as well as a good pistol draw. Now that I have fully covered my own plate carrier setup, it's time to have a look at my brother Viper, his plate carrier setup. As for my brother's PC setup, he used another carrier which has other modular options and a slightly different setup. Probably the biggest change noticeable on my brother's carrier is that he went from an OD green to a Coyote brown. Now this was important both for the team cohesion since we started our own Milsim team, as well as for the fact that Milsim organizations divide their teams depending on the color. So for the guys amongst you that want to get into Milsim in the future, you have been warned. Another noticeable change is that my brother changed from Tasmanian Tiger to Templars gear. As the base for his setup, he is using the Templars gear Crusader ROC set, which also gives him the quick release buckles. If you are looking for a more in-depth review about this carrier, go have a look at the link in the description down below. So jumping into my brother's plate carrier setup, he is also using the Travail fitness plates, but when doing physical movements, the plates and the carrier can create a frictional noise which we resolve by adding gear skin onto the plates. Starting off with the front panel, this carrier comes with buckles that allow for interchangeable front panels, but since Viper doesn't use them, he removed the buckles. Also, Viper is using 3 Fastmac pouches for easy inserting and drawing of the magazines, but we need to add a lot of tension for a secure hold of the magazines. On the top left of the carrier, Viper has attached his PTT with 2 rubber bands. The cable is being managed by Velcro managers which are present onto the carrier. Also on the other side, the drinking tube is being managed by another Velcro manager present on the carrier which prevents too much jiggling. On the outside of his left cummerbund, Viper has placed a cargo pouch M Gen 2 for storage purposes, just like I do. A nice detail is that on the back of the pouch you have place to store a knife. On the inside of his left cummerbund, Viper has placed a universal radio pouch which contains his Kenwood. A good thing about this pouch is that it can also be used for a magazine. Viper noticed that placing the radio pouch on the inside of the cummerbund can be highly uncomfortable for your ribs. Though this depends on the height placement of the pouch, so all you have to do is find a sweet spot for yourself. Going to the back panel, Viper has a hydration pouch L with a Source Tactical 3 liter WXP reservoir for hydration purposes. Furthermore, the backpack features a lot of shock cords and zippers for your teammates to store their equipment in it. Overall, Viper thinks that this is a good all-around backpack with lots of different purposes. Going to the right cummerbund, on the inside, Viper has placed his Ford Fastmac pouch with the magazine also facing forward. Now the fact that the magazine is placed on the inside allows for an even slimmer profile, which is beneficial for weapon manipulation. And also the magazine is still easy accessible. So that's it for our 2020 setup. If you are looking for such a full plate carrier setup, you can find them at our store with a nice discount at shop.recambuilders.com with a color of your choosing. Thanks for watching, make sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell button, share our video, and we'll see you next week.